Hello and welcome to my presentation, Transition Planning, Building a Better Future for Our High School Students. My name is Melissa Davidson, and I will be your presenter today. So today we'll be talking about transition planning, special education versus ADA, post-secondary education, employment and work skills, independent living, self-determination and self-advocacy, and healthy relationships. To begin, we'll talk about transition planning. What is transition planning? It is the process of planning the future for a student with learning disabilities. It's a written plan within the IEP to prepare a student to live, work, and engage in their community as independently and in their fullest capacity possible. It can include assistive or rehabilitative technology, orientation and mobility, or travel training, and career exploration through vocational assessments or work experience opportunities. I'm going to take a minute and discuss the difference between special education and ADA. Special education is mandated under the Individuals with Disabilities Act for students K through 12. It provides special education services and supports for students with disabilities. It includes academic skills. Transitions must start at age 16 and include goals for higher education, employment, and independent living. The school is responsible for identifying and delivering the services. ADA stands for the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is a civil rights law that prohibits discrimination based on disability. It impacts post-secondary education and employment by providing equal access. The student takes on the responsibility of self-identifying, requesting accommodations, and providing documentation. The documentation includes an IEP or a 504 plan. Higher education institutions must provide reasonable accommodations for students with disabilities. Now, a student can choose to go into post-secondary education after high school, and this includes 2- and 4-year colleges and universities and adult education programs. The Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services have provided some guidelines for preparing for post-secondary education. So students should explore interest in high school courses. Students should engage in challenging courses to prepare for college. Students should be involved in community-based activities to explore career options, including internships and work-based learning. Students should meet with guidance counselors to discuss career goals and establish a plan to work toward their goals. And finally, students should take an active role in their IEP meetings. If a student decides not to go into higher education, then there are employment opportunities and the development of work skills. So, a goal of the Rehabilitation Act is to provide maximum opportunities to individuals with disabilities to participate in competitive integrated employment. Students should develop goal seeking skills and participate in job readiness training if they are planning to go into the workforce after graduating from high school. So, there are some steps that the Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services discussed for career development. The first step is career readiness, which is developing self awareness and learning about work values and roles in work. This often takes place in elementary school. The second step is career exploration, which is the gathering of information to explore interests, skills, and abilities while learning about the requirements of employment options. The third is career preparation, which is where the student begins to understand individual strengths and challenges to make an informed choice about the preparation tasks needed for a chosen career or area. This often occurs in high school and sometimes into early adulthood. And finally, career placement occurs in adulthood, and it's it's where individuals responsibly and productively participate in a job. The Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services discuss 4 types of employment outcomes under the Rehabilitation Act. The first is competitive integrative employment, which pays competitive wages in an integrative environment that includes people with and without disabilities. And those individuals receive the same benefits as other workers and the same advancement opportunities. There is supported employment, where individuals receive support from a job coach in a competitive integrated environment. There's intensive training and ongoing support available to individuals with severe disabilities. They receive individual accommodations and are and acceptable work behaviors are taught and reinforced. Customized employment is where employment is designed to meet the unique interests, skills, and capacities of individuals within a work environment. And finally, self-employment, where the individual works for him or herself and are responsible for earning their own income from their trade or business. Independent living is important for all students with disabilities. It is the ability to carry out, choose, and control daily activities by oneself. Independent living builds personal autonomy and self-determination. It has been linked to the development of a person's identity and personality. And finally, it's the freedom to live like non-disabled peers. Independent living includes areas such as access to transportation, information, and communication, personal assistance, place of residence, daily routine, proper employment, personal relationships, access to healthcare, religious activities, and cultural activities, and finally, sexual and reproductive rights. Students with disabilities also need to be taught self-determination and self-advocacy. Self-determination is the opportunity to make choices and decisions about one's life and to become a contributing member to the community. They make decisions in daily life and receive support with those decisions. They advocate for desires, interests, and preferences that are respected and honored. They direct their own services and supports. They learn additional skills to assist in determining the course of one's life, and they take risks to achieve the life one desires. Self-advocacy is the ability to speak up for oneself and explain what one needs and why with confidence. Individuals with disabilities do not have to say what their disability is. However, it is beneficial to provide the following information. 1, how the disability impacts them. 2, the environment, support, and services needed to participate and be successful. And 3, strengths and strategies that work best for them. Healthy relationships is another area that individuals with disabilities need to have. So, this forming and maintaining healthy relationships is important for overall well being and quality of life. Social inclusion is a way to build healthy relationships. This can be done through community activities, social events, and programs focused on building friendships and social bonds. Students should be taught social boundaries and consent in a way that is culturally sensitive, respectful of individual and religious values, and aligns with personal development. Finally, open communication between families and the school is important to foster healthy relationships. I'm going to conclude the presentation with this conceptual framework for universal design for transition. So, based on universal design for learning, multiple means of expression, multiple means of engagement, representation, assessment, um, multiple domains, multiple resources, and perspectives are all included on this framework so that in the end, students with disabilities have self-determination. You have multiple means of assessment to help students get to where they need to be. There are multiple life domains, um, areas that students are interested in after graduation. And then there are multiple resources and perspectives which can provide the best information to meet a specific goal or adult outcome. Here are the references that were used in today's presentation. I thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, I have listed my contact information on this slide.